shall row, my love and I leaned my back up against an oak, thinking it was a trusty tree, but first it bent and then it broke, and so my love proved unto me. Oh, love is handsome when love is fine, and love's a jewel when first is new, but love grows old and waxes cold and fades away like morning dew. There is a ship, and she sails the sea. She's loaded deep, as deep can be, but not as deep as the love I'm in. I know not if I sink or swim. The water is wide, I cannot cross o'er, and neither have I the wings to fly. Build me a boat that can carry two, and both shall row, my love and both shall row, my love and Barges, I would like to go with you, I would like to sail the ocean blue. Barges, have you treasure in your hold? Do you fight with pirates brave and bold? Out of my window, looking in the night, I can see the barge's flickering light. Starboard is green and port is glowing red. I can see the barges from my bed. Barges, I would like to go with you, I would like to sail the ocean blue. Barges, have you treasure in your hold? Do you fight with pirates brave and bold?
Hello, my name is Rebecca Esterson. I am a faculty member at our church's seminary here in Berkeley, California at the Center for Swedenborgian Studies. It is my absolute pleasure to be with you at Freiburg virtually this week, and it is my job this morning to introduce to you one of our themes for the week, which is the Tabernacle of Israel. Other lectures later on in the week will do a deep dive into the correspondences, into the spiritual meanings and their practical and spiritual applications to the tabernacle account. Right now, we're just going to be doing a very basic introduction. So I'm going to share my screen with you and pull up some images. Okay, so I will just show this one image while I give you some introductory notes about the tabernacle, and then towards the end I'll show you some more images. So let's get started. The account of the tabernacle takes up no less than 13 chapters of the Bible. That's 1/3 of the book of Exodus. The fact that it takes up so much of this, one of the most widely read books of the Bible, has made it the focus of much interpretive activity over the last 2 millennia. The structure is described in great detail, including every material and measurement, not just once, but twice, 2 whole times. So here's the story. The Israelites had left Egypt, where they had been enslaved for generations. Taking what they could with them, they find themselves on a long, hard journey through rough terrain. On the brink of starvation and suddenly doubting their purpose in leaving, the Israelites are becoming worried and angry. Their leader, Moses, spends a lot of time up in the mountains talking with God, which is trying their patience. Moses, however, is doing important things, hearing and receiving a covenant on behalf of the people, which will connect them to their God and form the foundation of their society for generations to come. And it is here, on the top of Mount Sinai, that Moses is receiving instructions for a tent structure to be a home for God in their midst. God says, "Let them make me a sanctuary, that I might dwell among them." So it was very common for nomadic peoples in the ancient Near East to carry their tribal deity with them in a portable shrine. The god or goddess would typically take the form of a carved image, seated on a throne of honor within a tent. The structure described to Moses was different in one respect, at least. At its core, this tent would house an empty throne, a golden seat above the Ark of the Covenant and placed between 2 winged guardians, empty, but waiting to be surrounded by the presence of God. We read that God didn't just dictate instructions to Moses, but showed the structure to him as if in a vision. Moses saw with his spiritual eyes every article of furniture, every material used, and even the particular style of vestments the priests who tended the tabernacle would wear. The tabernacle was to be built with precious materials and with rich colors: gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and fine linen, goat hair, ram skins dyed red, and fine leather, acacia wood, olive oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil and for the fragrant incense, onyx stones, and other precious gems. While receiving these visions and instructions, the people of Israel have grown restless, impatient with this invisible God, and with the help of their priest Aaron, who was Moses' brother, they construct and begin to worship a golden calf. We are familiar with the scene that follows, with Moses descending the mountain and breaking the stone tablets in despair at what he finds. He nevertheless eventually intercedes on behalf of the now repentant people and mediates a renewed covenant. After the incident of the golden calf, construction begins on the tabernacle, and we, the readers of the Bible, are presented with the very same painstaking building instructions again for a second time. The tabernacle became the holy center for this nomadic community. It stayed with them for 40 years until their entry into the promised land, and was then placed inside the Jerusalem temple, where it stayed until the temple's destruction. We no longer have this sacred tent, but we do have the text that describes it. And because of the length and detail of the account of its construction, interpreters, Jewish and Christian, came to see the biblical text about the tabernacle as itself a kind of shrine to God. Reading levels of meaning into every detail and between the gaps, rabbis, priests, scholars, and lay people have mined the words of Exodus for the precious gems of another sort. One common interpretation has been to see the tabernacle as a kind of cosmos in miniature. This comparison is sometimes made between the account of the tabernacle in Exodus and the account of creation in Genesis. So we read in Exodus, Moses saw all their work, and behold, just as the Lord had done it. Just as the Lord had commanded it, they had done it, and he blessed them. We read in Genesis, God saw all he had made, and behold, it was very good, and God blessed them. We read in Exodus, Moses completed the work. We read in Genesis, the heaven and earth were completed, and God completed on the seventh day the work he had done. So some have noted that the description in Exodus 25 through 31 can be divided into 7 parts, each beginning with the phrase, and God spoke to Moses. The 7th and final part contains the commandment to keep the Sabbath. This has parallels, of course, to the 7 days of creation, which are punctuated with the phrase, and God said, and culminates with the primordial Sabbath day of rest. Interpreters have also mapped the universe into the rooms, furnishings, and utensils of the tabernacle. Philo of Alexandria, the 1st century Jewish philosopher, believed that the tabernacle served as an allegory for the cosmos. Every element of the physical abode signified a divine reality. He wrote, "Clear indeed is the literal meaning, for the shrine is spoken of as a kind of archetype of a shrine, namely as a tent. But as for the deeper meaning, God always appears in God's work, which is most sacred. By this I mean the world. For the beginning and end of happiness is to be able to see God. But this cannot happen to him who has not made his soul a sanctuary and altogether a shrine of God." According to Philo, the tabernacle existed in 2 realms. The realm of the corporeal world, the world of human experience, the earth and the cosmos, and also the divine realm, the realm of unchanging and perfect truth, the intelligible world. It was the latter that Moses was shown on the mountain. Philo writes that while Moses lived on the mountain for 40 days, the tabernacle was being constructed in ideas or deeper meanings, and this construction was its truest form. For by receiving the conception of this structure, the mind of Moses entered into the intelligible realm and became ripe with true perceptions about the nature of existence. The tent was then made manifest in the physical world through construction of created matter. The tabernacle existed in both worlds, the intelligible world as a pattern for the nature of divine and created things, and in the sense perceptible world as a physical edifice to house God in the midst of the Israelites. Philo gives every detail a specific meaning. For example, the 2 cherubim represent the 2 forces of God, the power to create and the power to rule. The 7 lamps on the menorah represent the 7 planets in the cosmos, and the 4 colors of woven threads represent the 4 elements of the corporeal world: earth, water, fire, and air. When taken as a whole, these deeper meanings to the tabernacle structure create an integrated representation of God in relation to creation. In rabbinic sources, we find a variety of methods and interpretations. In some cases, the tabernacle account is understood allegorically again, indicating not only a connection with a heavenly tabernacle, but also depicting aspects of the natural universe. The number of curtains equals the number of heavens. The 2 altars correspond to the body and soul of humans. The supporting boards are likened to the angels. The clasps of the curtains are the stars above, and the lamps are planets. The 3 metals correspond to 3 aspects of God's nature: gold to God's glory, silver to God's loving kindness, and copper to God's beauty. Every aspect of the tabernacle has a counterpart above. One important source in mystical Judaism, the Zohar, is especially keen on this theme of a heavenly tabernacle, stating that by simply viewing the earthly construction, one could also see into heaven. quote, "Whoever saw the tabernacle perceived in it the upper and lower worlds, and he saw everything in the tabernacle, for all that happens in both the upper and lower worlds was arrayed in the tabernacle." The tabernacle is therefore a link between two worlds, providing access and heavenly insights to those who meditate upon it. The priests become mystics, soaring between worlds, joined to the divine by their ministering acts. Christian commentaries as well are full of interpretations that connect the details of the structure to cosmological and theological things. For instance, the 8th century Venerable Bede wrote a lengthy verse-by-verse commentary showing how the particular measurements of the ark symbolize the quality and nature of Christ's life and teaching. The table for bread offerings is a symbol for sacrifice, a symbol for scripture, offering sustenance and supported by 4 legs, like the 4 senses of the Bible. The lampstand is the church universal, its 7 lamps, the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit, and so on. Swedenborg, of course, offered his own intricate interpretation of the tabernacle based on principles of correspondences, and we will have many opportunities this week to explore these in depth together. For now, I want to note one more way that the tabernacle has been and continues to be interpreted today. This is through its reconstruction. One almost can't help but begin to sketch or tinker with building a model as one reads the instructions for this structure, and I recommend you do read that on your own time. Do the measurements add up? There's some question about that. Could this have been a portable structure? Was it light enough actually to carry in its pieces? This is also a question. How does it fit together? And what exactly would it look like? So I want to end my short presentation here by showing you some pictures of this, of when people have tried to draw it or physically reconstruct a model of the tabernacle. This is a drawing of the tabernacle done by a Samaritan priest, and you can see all of the various furnishings there. Here we have at the top the Holy of Holies with the Ark of the Covenant. Below that we have the holy place with the furnishings there, and on the bottom we have the courtyard with the altar for sacrifice and all of the instruments that would be used by the priests to perform those sacrifices. So this is a drawing by a Samaritan priest. Here we have some drawings by the 14th century Christian commentator on the Bible, Nicholas of Lyra. And you can see him here in his commentary giving some sketches, some images of, in the middle we have the curtains of the tabernacle, the various colors of the fabrics, and the ways that they would be held together with golden clasps and hung together that way. On the left and on the right, you have some diagrams of the structure itself and how the arrangement with the boards would be done to create these rooms. So this is 14th century. But today you can go to Israel, to the desert in southern Israel, to Timna Park, and see a life-size model of the tabernacle that you can walk into. And I've been here. It's quite an experience. You can see the outer courtyard there with white linen curtains around it. And in the middle, there's the altar of sacrifice. And between that and the tabernacle is the water basin that the priests would go to wash themselves before entering the tent. So that's a structure in Israel. Here's another life-size model that you can go visit in Lancaster, Pennsylvania at the Mennonite Information Center. And here we're looking inside the tabernacle at the entry room, which is called the Holy Place. And here the priests tending to their activities, their ritual activities here in the Holy Place. There's the lampstand that would be lit with 7 lamps. This would be a dark room because there will be curtains covering every entrance. You need light and inside the structure in order to be able to see. So there's a golden menorah. And in front, we're looking at the altar of incense, where the priests would burn incense that would rise up and be made an offering to God. Here's the same structure from a different angle, and you can see the third piece of furniture in the holy place, the table for bread offering. This model is actually inside a building, kind of looks like a church, where you can go and sit in pews and look inside the model and listen to description about it. On the outside, they do have a courtyard set up here in Lancaster. You can see the Bangor Outlets sign in the distance there, and you can have the silhouetted images here of the priests doing their work in the courtyard. So some of you might be familiar with this miniature model of the tabernacle, which is found at Glencairn Museum in Bernathen, Pennsylvania. This was a model created in the 1920s, by a couple of grades of school children and their families over the course of a couple years. And they took this project very, very seriously. In fact, the gold and the silver that were used to build this were taken from donations. The families would donate jewelry, actually, gold jewelry, and would be melted down and put into molds to create these furnishings here that you're looking at. So these were actually made with donated gold from the families, and they had sewing class where they would learn to sew these little priestly vestments and the curtains, and they would do woodworking, and they would measure out these boards and fit them together with loops and rods. So you can actually see this in Bernathen. It's on display there. It's a beautiful model. So there's another example here that I want to end with. Some of you might be familiar with the video game Minecraft, or you might have relatives like I do who play a lot of Minecraft. My kids are into this game. It's a video game where you go into this virtual world and you just build things. So it's interesting that there are people out there who are building the tabernacle in Minecraft. It's just an example of how people continue to find creative ways to reconstruct this building as a way to understand it. And so we have this virtual tabernacle that we can tour here. And I'll just end by playing you this 3-minute video of the tabernacle in Minecraft, and we'll be able to kind of fly through it and see everything virtually here. Okay, so you saw there at the end the so-called pillar of fire that would appear above the Holy of Holies at night as an indication that God was present in the tent. And in the day, it would be seen as a pillar of smoke or pillar of clouds. So you see a pillar of clouds in the day and a pillar of fire at night. So that's it for my pre-recorded portion of this introduction to the tabernacle. I believe we now have a live discussion, so I look forward to talking about this with you then. Thank you.
The water is wide, I cannot cross o'er, and neither have I the wings to fly. Build me a boat that can carry two, and both shall row